Hey, it's John. Welcome back to the show, and welcome to my 10 favorite songs from 2002. This is a show that I put out every month, talk about my 10 favorite songs from a particular year, as well as my 20 honorable mentions, and I intend to do this until the present day. This is going to be a very interesting list because I have songs in here that I love since 2002. I have songs in here that I discovered after I discovered a band and then worked my way backwards. And I'm going to have one song that starts out this countdown here that I didn't know until 6 months ago when I saw this artist live. So let's get started. My number 10 is an artist that I found on eMusic. Thank you, Robert, for introducing me to eMusic, where I found so many great artists and bands, but not the same ones that my brother Robert was listening to. This is Nico Case from her album Blacklisted. Song I'm going with is I Wish I Was the Moon. Now, my history with Nico Case. I found her on the album Fox Confessor Brings the Flood. Adored it. Love that album. Love Middle Cyclone. Didn't listen to her for a long time. Saw her 6 months ago at Kent Stage in Kent, Ohio. Hello, Ryan Gavalier. And I bought this album at the show because I didn't have this one and a couple others. And this is a wonderful album. It's a very eclectic album, a lot of blues, like R&B, a lot of folk, a lot of country. And her vocal performance throughout this album is stunning. She is a wonderful songwriter. I Wish I Was the Moon sounds like a classic country song from the 1960s with a very immaculate production. And this is a wonderful track that just cuts right through you, both lyrically and vocally. The musicianship is all in its right place. It's all for the song. Excellent track. I adore this song, and I'm starting to adore this album to the point, and I'm starting to like this maybe even more than Fox Confessor Brings the Flood. Definitely going to get deeper into Nico Case's music in 2026. This is my number 10, Nico Case, I Wish I Was the Moon. My number 9 is another band I found through eMusic. And it's this band right here, Humphreys McGee. And this is from their album Local Band Does Okay. And the song I'm going with is Hurt Bird Bath. Now, I found this band with their Safety in Numbers album, and I still think that's a wonderful album. This album is pretty close. There's more jamming on this album. Hurt Bird Bath is more of a jam song. It takes you on a ride. What do Humphreys McGee sound like? For those of you who don't know who they are, think of Rush becoming a jam band. They got that kind, they're that progressive musically, but they jam and they do 3 hour shows all the time. I've seen them 9 times live. Most of the time, they're great. Sometimes a little bit too much noodling, but musically, there's few finer. Hurt Bird Bath has this really, really cool progressive like intro. It sounds like something that Rush would do. And it goes into the main theme. When it goes into the main riff, it has like this cool stop-start rhythm. Lyrically, it's pretty sparse. And once the lyrics are over, then it just takes you on a ride. It's very heavy on the percussion. And it builds and builds a momentum, and it slows down. It gets very jazzy. The guitar lines on here are wonderful. Those guitars really, really ring. It's just an excellent track, but very progressive in the fact that there's a lot of drama, a lot of ebb and flow, which I like. This is my number 9, Humphreys McGee with Hurt Bird Bath. My number 8 is an artist that I've talked about a few times here on John the Music Net. This is Alanis Morissette from her album Under Rug Swept. I'm going with the first single, Hands Clean. Now, this is a leaner album than supposed Former Infatuation Junkie, which came out a few years earlier. More, I would say it's more pop than Jagged Little Pill. It's not quite as angry as that album. It's still very accessible. I wouldn't say necessarily it's a pop album, but it's a great singer-songwriter album that Alanis wrote all the songs and she produced this album. Hands Clean is wonderful. It starts out acoustic and then it just builds through that verse until we hit that wonderful chorus. Alanis's voice on here is magnificent. And it's just very, very melodic. It really sticks in your head. It's got a great bridge to it as well. And this is a wonderful track. Probably my favorite song on this album, Under Rug Swept. This is a very good album. It didn't sell as well as the two I just mentioned, but it's definitely worth checking out. This is my number 8, Alanis Morissette with Hands Clean. My number 7 is from a singer-songwriter that's been with us over 50 years now. And this was an album that was written in many ways as a response to the 9/11 2001 attacks on the United States. And a lot of songs have similar relate to that lyrically. This is Bruce Springsteen from the album The Rising, going with the title track. Now, this song in Mary's Place and I think Weighing on a sunny day and Lonesome Day were the songs that got played heavy. The Rising, I think, is the one that's adored the most because that's the one you still hear. And this is just a well-written song. We got great guitar lines on here. It's got a slow burn in the verse, but goes right into that chorus. And it's a very cool sing-along chorus. Very well written. It's just, it's like a song that's like a call to arms song, but at the same time, it has a things are going to get better feel to it. And it's a very positive song. It's very, very cool. My number 7 is Bruce Springsteen with The Rising. Number 6 is from a band I've loved for a long time. One of my 3 favorite bands. And they're going to go out on tour. Well, actually, I think they just went out on tour as I filmed this on March 31. And they no longer have their writer and their longtime drummer. But Alex and Getty are still out there. And if you can afford the tickets, have a good time. This is Rush from their album Vapor Trails. And I'm going with the opening track, One Little Victory. Now, this was their first studio album in 6 years after Test for Echo, because after the Test for Echo tour, unfortunately, Neil Peart went through tragedy twice, with both his daughter dying in a car crash and his wife dying of cancer. So he needed some time to recharge. He went out and he did his long ride across the country on his motorcycle. He loved to ride his motorcycle. Eventually, he was going on his gigs on motorcycle from one show to the next. One Little Victory is the opening track on the album. It got played heavy on Rock 107, WEZX-FM, Scranton, Pennsylvania, the home of rock and roll. Has this really cool drum intro to begin, kind of like a jazzy drum intro. And then you got Alex's guitars coming in, and they're really, really loud. This album's very loud. They went and they put out a remixed version which it wasn't quite as loud. I eventually got accustomed to the original, even though I didn't like it at first. But I always loved the song One Little Victory. One Little Victory is very, very cool. It's got a wonderful message to it. Very memorable chorus on this as well. The playing is fantastic. The riffs are killer. So this is my number 6, Rush with One Little Victory. My number 5 is a singer, songwriter, guitar player, blues guitar player. This is Coco Montoya from his album Can't Look Back. I'm going with the song Trip, Stumble and Fall. Song I played heavy at Dugan's Pub back in the day. I had a lot of friends down there who loved good blues. They introduced me to a lot of great artists. I think Dick Stone introduced me to Coco Montoya. Hello, Dick. I hope you're doing well. So a lot of these songs are he bounces between blues and a lot of R&B. Coco has a wonderful voice to go along with his stellar guitar playing. But Trip, Stumble, and Fall is more of a rock song, and it's just wicked, very in its rhythm, and it's just hard-hitting, a very, very cool, excellent. Great riffs on here, great chorus. The chorus is very simple, it's just the title, but it's the way that it's done in its execution that really makes it work. It is a wonderful track. Very, very hard-hitting. Very good album here. Can't look back. This is probably a 9.5 out of 10 album for me. This is my favorite Coco album. And this is my number 5, Coco Montoya with Trip, Stumble and Fall. Speaking of great guitar players, my number 4 is a guitar player. It's been around since 1967 with the Amboy Dukes. And this was his first studio album, I believe, since Spirit of Wild. So it would have been 8 years. This is Uncle Ted Nugent, from his album Crave Man. And the song I'm going with is the call to arms. That is Crave. This is a fantastic song. The guitar riffs on here are fantastic. It is wonderful. It's a call to arms. It's got so much joy, so much passion. And it has this, what the riff on here is one to die for. I think it's one of the best Ted riffs. A lot of the songs, some of them sound they have the recycled riffs, but Crave just comes in, just destroys you for about 6 minutes and not a second wasted. And during the fade out, you most likely will hear something that you may know from Ted's past. We got some working hard, playing hard there going in that fade out, which is really, really cool. So this is my number 4, Ted Nugent with Crave. My number 3 is from another artist who's been around forever, but he's still out there, and he'll be touring this summer. I think he's touring right now, actually, but he's doing a summer tour, and he'll be playing with the Doobie Brothers as special guests. They'll be playing July 4, 2026 up at Bethel Woods Center for the Arts. I'll be there. This is Santana from the album Shaman, and the song I'm going with is The Game of Love. This was the first single off this album. Second album where it's Santana and a whole bunch of guests. A lot of them who were big stars at that time. I thought that the formula was getting a little thin at this point, but we still got a knockout track in The Game of Love. Michelle Branch guests on lead vocals, and her vocals on this are stunning. Wonderful. The chorus, it's very poppy, little bit of this, little bit of that, but I love it. I've loved this since the get-go. If the rhythm sounds familiar to you, the New Radicals, the guys in that band, they wrote this song, from what I understand. If you know their song, You Get What You Give, this is the same rhythm, but I think it's a better song than that one. And I like You Get What You Give a lot, but there's so much on here that's wonderful. You got a great chorus, a wonderful bridge with the horns in that bridge sound excellent. The percussion sounds amazing. Wonderful solo from Carlos, both in the regular solo spot and in the fade out where they start repeating the bridge again. It's magnificent. Very well crafted song. I believe this hit the top 5 in 2002. Very, very wonderful song. This is my number 3, Santana with Michelle Branch, The Game of Love. Number 2 is by a band whose first few albums I really liked, and then they got just too electronic and they started making albums that they sound like you can make them on a computer, but their first 4 albums I thought were quite good. This is Coldplay from their album A Rush of Blood to the Head. And the song I'm going with is the last track on the album, Amsterdam. Now, Amsterdam is a piano track. It's piano, Chris Martin, that wonderful vocal, and his falsetto sounds great on here. Sometimes his falsetto could be a little too much. Here, I think it sounds perfect. I love the harmonies on here as well. It's just a very cool, mellow piano ballad, but it's wonderful. I've loved it since the first time I heard it. And I probably bought this album maybe a year after it came out. I know I bought X and Y, the next album, the day it came out. Wonderful album. And the big hits on here were Clocks and The Scientist and Politic and In My Place Were Popular, but some great deep cuts on here. And Amsterdam is a wonderful deep cut. Excellent track. This is my number 2 for 2002, Coldplay with Amsterdam. My number 1 It's from a band I talked a little bit about, but I'll definitely be talking about them more because this is my favorite era of Dream Theater. This is Dream Theater from their album 6 Degrees Inner Turbulence, and I'm going with the opening track, the tour de force. That is the Glass Prison. Glass Prison is a monster. They have written so many epics, and some of them have a lot of noodling in them. I think all 14 minutes of this song works. There's 3 different parts to the song. It's a song about beating your demons, and it's got a really strong personal message. Anyone who's gone through this before can really relate to the track. There's a lot of great tracks on here. I think the first disc of this album, I think, might be as good as Dream Theater ever was. And that's counting Images and Words and Awake. They're great albums too. The first disc, though, is wonderful. The second disc is a 42-minute epic title track, but The Glass Prison is just so strong musically. There's so many great, memorable passages on here. The chorus is wonderful. It just works all the way around as a 14-minute song. Excellent. I've loved this since the first time I heard it. I was just like playing it over and over to the point where I hear this song. To this day, I still get a little emotional when I hear it. So this is my number one. This be emotional. I gotta give it number one, right? This is Dream Theater from 6 Degrees of Inner Turbulence and the song The Glass Prison. So let me grab these here. I'll go through my 10 favorite songs again, and then I'll give you 20 honorable mentions. My number 10 is Nico Case with I Wish I Was the Moon. My number 9 is Humphreys McGee with Hurt Birdbath. My number 8 is Alanis Morissette with Hands Clean. My number 7 is Bruce Springsteen with The Rising. My number 6 is Rush with One Little Victory. My number 5 is Coco Montoya with Trip, Stumble and Fall. My number 4 is Ted Nugent with Crave. That's right. My number 3 is Santana with Michelle Branch, The Game of Love. My number 2. Oh my God, is he excited about Coldplay? Yes, he is. Coldplay with Amsterdam is my number 2. My number 1 with the Bullets. Dream Theater. All 14 wonderful minutes of The Glass Prison. Now, we give you my honorable mentions. And my usual, this is close. This is close. Steve Earle from the album Jerusalem, the opening track, Ashes to Ashes. This is another song that has a lot of references to 9/11. This is a stunning track, a very, very good album. This is close. Speaking of 9/11, Wasp from their album Dying for the World, Hallowed Ground, a song that Blackie Lawless wrote after he visited what happened at 9/11 the month after it happened. And this is close. The Wallflowers from their album Red Letter Days and the anthem that is Everybody Out of the Water. All right. Now let's go to Notepad here and I can read off the rest of them for you. And I don't know what's up with my Zoom camera tonight. Sunshining by the Vines. That is a very cool track there. From the album Highly Evolved, I think Peter Kerr introduced me to this band a few years ago. Hello, Peter, if you're watching. Thank you for introducing me to the Vines and the Hives. Wilco with Jesus, Etc. This is an album that was very popular. Dugan's Pub. This was the most popular song on excellent track. Audio Slave with Cochise. This is a wicked track that still sounds so good when you hear it on Sirius XM Turbo. Nora Jones, don't know why. That was the big hit. off of her debut album. Speaking of my friends at Dugan's Pub, about 15 of us went to see Nora Jones at the FM Kirby Center 11 years ago. I'll never forget that show. Oh my gosh. She sounded magnificent. Foo Fighters with All My Life. This is a wicked kick-ass track. This hits really hard. Maroon 5. Songs About Jane was the album. I love this album. Yeah, it's very poppy. I always thought Sunday Morning should have been the big hit. I think they released it as the fourth single and just barely hit the top 40. That song is wicked. It has this cool 70s R&B feel to it that I love. George Harrison, I believe this may have been the last song he put out before he passed away. Any Road, excellent. Album is called Brainwashed, I believe. Okay. Dave Matthews Band, track called Gray Street. This is a very well-written song. I think the violins and the horns sound wonderful on here. Tom Petty with The Last DJ. Very wicked and poignant lyrically. I think it is a catchy song, an angry song, and I love it. Nerd with the song Provider. Nerd were this R&B act from the 2000s that Aaron Brown from Alien Red introduced me to. And I always liked the song Provider. It's very, very cool. Matchbox 20, band I've talked about on here recently, with the single Unwell, which is very, very cool. Three Doors Down with the big hit When I'm Gone. Another very strong track, cool chorus on that. Reverend Horton Heat, one of Robert's favorites, with the track from Lucky 7, Reverend Horton Heat's Big Blue Car. This kicks ass and takes names. Mudvayne, this song's for Jake Not from State Farm, Not Fallen. Excellent. Love this song. Saw them live. They played this live. Interpol. Shout out to Tom Mikulski for introducing me to Interpol. Say Hello to the Angels. Excellent song. Love it. And Neil Young, another song with 9/11 references here from Are You Passionate, even though this song doesn't sound like anything else from Are You Passionate, which is more of an R&B album because he recorded it with Booker T and the MGs, or just the MGs. Let's roll. All right. There you go. Thank you for joining me. What are your favorite songs from 2002? Would any of these songs or artists be among your favorites? Please let me know in the comments below. Plenty more to come. Do what you love, and I'll talk to you soon.